right.
No women.
Okay, we're going to get this council meeting started 15 minutes late. I know there are Olympics out there to be watched. So, all right, so this is, we are opening up the regular session of the city council meeting. And the very first order of business is going to be the pledge to the flag by one of the most outstanding members of our community and someone who I have watched grow up since he was about that big.
But right before that, we can adopt the agenda.
Oh, yeah, that's
We
right.
adopt the agenda afterwards.
But then his name won't be on the minutes.
Please put Jack's name in the minutes. Okay, all right. So, Jack, would you please step up to the microphone and would the rest of us rise so Jack can go ahead and lead us in the pledge?
Say it loud.
Put your right hand over your heart.
Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
What a champion. Thank you.
Good job, Jack.
And let the record reflect that Jack Karachi did the pledge to the flag tonight. Okay, item 3 is the adoption of the agenda. Could we have a motion, please?
Madam Mayor?
Yes,
Madam
sir.
Mayor, if we may make one rearrangement of the agenda under special items 4A, Parks and Recreation update, can we move that to after item 5, the public hearing, and we'll do that Parks and Rec update, special item in number 6 before item 8.
Okay.
Just as we want to make sure that, the reason I'm doing that is that we have promised to start the public hearing at 7:15, and under the Voting Rights Act, we are obligated to start it as close to that as we possibly can.
Okay. That's great. We will do so, and with that change, we have a motion to adopt the agenda, please.
So
Oh, and
moved.
also, I just wanted to make a point, if we could close this meeting in memory of Esteban Torres, who's a congressman, and an outstanding congressman at that. So if we could have that reflected in the minutes. Okay, now a motion.
So moved. Second.
It's been moved and seconded to adopt the agenda as amended. Is there any further discussion? Any objections? If not, so ordered. So we are going to go directly to the public hearing, after which we will have our Parks and Recreation update. So I would like to open the public hearing and receive public input, discuss the draft redistricting maps, and identify focus maps for inclusion in the ordinance to adopt new district boundaries for the Duarte City Council. And we'd like to welcome Mr. Jeff Simonetti.
Perfect.
All right. You know what? Between you and Fasano, we definitely have an overpowering influence of the Italians here.
There you go.
So anyway, go ahead, Jeff.
All right, well, thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name is Jeff Simonetti with the National Demographics Corporation. As always, we appreciate the opportunity to speak with you this evening. And so tonight what we would do is just go back through the presentation and just, if we could go to the next slide, just to remind the public of the project timelines that are associated with, particularly with the Fair Maps Act. And then we'll review the draft maps. And what we thought we could do was, rather than going through each one of the maps individually, if there are particular maps that the council would like to focus on, we can move through those at that point. And we'll talk about the next steps in hearings as well. So in terms of the redistricting process, I know we've talked a lot about the Fair Maps Act over the last few months here, and that is one of the reasons why we have the particular process that we go through. We had 2 initial draft, what we call pre-draft map hearings that were required under the Fair Maps Act, and those took place on September 28th and January 11th. Now we'll have at least two hearings further this evening and March 8th regarding the draft maps. We have 6 maps in front of you this evening, and so we will, for the remainder of tonight's hearing as well as for the upcoming hearing, we'll go through the draft maps, and you guys can, as well as the general public, can provide us feedback on the maps that you like, the maps that you don't like, and are there particular edits or changes that you'd like to make to those. The most important thing is that this process has to be completed by no later than April 17th of 2022 to be able to complete the process and to be have the submission on time to send to the LA County Registrar of Voters. If we could go back one slide. So if we could go back and talk about the redistricting rules and goals, this is an important slide to cover. We've talked about the Federal Voting Rights Act in terms of having generally equal population. And the rule of thumb is making sure we have no greater than a 10% population deviation. And there can be no racial gerrymandering associated with that. We've talked about the California criteria for cities, and this is what has changed since you passed your original set of districts maps. This is pertaining to the Fair Maps Act and sets specific California criteria for cities. There are 4, and they're rank ordered again. So districts should be geographically contiguous, when practicable, have undivided neighborhoods and communities of interest, and those are socioeconomic geographic areas that should be kept together. They should have easily identifiable boundaries, and they should be compact. And when we talk about compactness, that is, you do not bypass one group of people to get to a more distant group of people to put them together. If we go to the next slide, you'll see here, this is the pointing out why it's necessary for us to go through the redistricting process. So you'll see there, this is the existing districts, but with the 2020 demographics put into place. So you'll see there on the 4th column there on the top, where you'll see we have a 23% current population deviation. And when we talk about population deviation, that means the difference in terms of percentage from the smallest district to the largest district off of the ideal. As a result, you can see that that's 23% and is necessitating us to go through the redistricting process because you're over that 10% threshold that is allowable. If we go to the next slide, here again is visually showing your existing districts. And I know we've discussed this in the past. One of the challenges to the new Fair Maps Act criteria is that we do have, currently with the way that the maps are drawn, a non-contiguous district. And you know, we've had discussions about why that has taken place, but that is one of the things that we'll be looking at as well in the process here. But again, we have that the significant population deviation, particularly between districts 1 and districts 2, are the most in terms of population deviation that are out of whack. If we go to the next slide. Yes.
Can I, the previous, it shows existing districts, and it only goes from 1 through 6, and then other. Is there a reason why it's not 1
That's
through
just
7?
just sorry the way that's labeled, but yes, other should be 7. It's just the way that the GIS software does that.
Well, 7, we need our number 7. We don't need other.
Right. I
Understood.
agree. Okay.
Understood.
Thank you.
So go to the next slide. So we also look at Latino citizen voting age population. And as you'll see, most of the Latino citizen voting age population is concentrated in the southeastern and southwestern portions of the city. So you currently have 2 districts that are majority Latino, and something to be considered as well for when we look at new districts. Going to the next slide, we talked about some potential possible neighborhoods or communities. And these are areas that, again, we're seeking your feedback to say, are there areas that you want to keep together, or are those areas that would benefit from having multiple representatives? Talk about areas around City Hall, areas around either the Duarte and City of Hope Gold Mine Station, areas north of the 210 freeway, and again, are there other areas of interest that you would like to identify as well? Go to the next slide. So we've gone through this is the 3rd public hearing. We have another hearing scheduled for March 8th. And again, 2 things. The process has to be done by ordinance. So an ordinance requires two readings. The redistricting process, you can introduce an ordinance at a special meeting, but it has to be passed, and the second reading has to take place at a regular session meeting. Second important thing to remember too is that this process needs to be completed by no later than April 17th of 2022 for the city deadline to adopt and submit that map to the registrar. So if we go to the final slide, we'll stop here, and are there any particular questions regarding the presentation? And then we'll get into the council discussion regarding the draft maps. So,
Jeff, I
yes.
saw that you had there February 15th as a potential third on the previous slide. Yeah, February 15th, proposed third public hearing, and it's actually taking place on February 8th. Would we be well served by having, if there are any other maps to be introduced, having it on that February 15th?
We can discuss that, you know, and it's something that, you know, again, if there are further maps that want to be proposed, we can talk about a special hearing if that's, you know, something that the council would like to do.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, Bill.
Can I see that? I think that it was the second slide. This one. So, I totally sat on my glasses, so they're super glued. Okay. So the top one says existing districts. I understand that.
Mhm.
The bottom one is the demographics of citizen voting age population.
Yes.
So, has it changed in terms of, I realize it's voting age, but they're not voters, correct? Necessarily. I mean,
Not voters necessarily, yes, you are correct. So
Okay.
citizen voting age population
This
means
is 18 and over.
any citizen who's 18 years and older, yes. It's not required that they are registered to vote.
Got
Any citizen who is eligible to vote.
it. Okay, thank you.
And that is the particular area that we look at for protected class voting.
Okay, other questions?
Yep.
Ben?
I had a question. I think you mentioned it during your presentation. You said that on the next hearing we have, we're going to be able to provide input. The citizens will be able to provide input, and then you would be able to kind of, you know, take in all that input and move the map around according to the suggestions. Is that something like a workshop that we would be able to do with you? Because I participated in a lot of the county redistricting and the ones that just passed in the state redistricting. And what I found helpful was that we were able to see in real time how they moved the lines. And with the suggestions of the group that was given for the person to move the lines. And I found that really helpful. So I think that would be something that would be really helpful for us up here as well as everybody else in the city. So I know you mentioned, I heard you said something like that, right? So I wasn't sure that we were setting something up.
Yeah, so I mean, that's something that we can discuss if that's something that you'd like to do in terms of a workshop setting, if that would be more helpful in terms of processing maps. We can certainly do that. The one thing that I would caution, and we can certainly take a look and you know, moving around the maps and making sure that you know, taking into consideration. The one thing that I would say is we want to go back and kind of step back after that and make sure that the map that we're proposing, if we're doing that on the fly, that we're making sure that we have a population balanced map and those types of things. So we can consider that, but again, I want to make sure that we have a little bit of that time afterwards to make sure that we're complying with the things that we need to comply with, and making sure that we're not missing something that we're doing on the fly.
Yeah, I hear you.
Okay. Sam, did I see you have anything? Okay, anybody else have any other questions for Jeff?
Not a question, just kind of a follow-up to Councilmember Chong is, I think the opportunity of having a workshop would be not necessarily directing people of how they may or may not draw the map, but giving them an additional understanding and a way to figure out. I mean, I went to the online map, and it's slightly challenging for someone that's not tech savvy. But with that being said, I feel like if we offer that as an option to our residents, I think they'll feel a little bit more comfortable and have hard copies here that they could, but you can provide the direction or instructions about the population and maybe have a clear map that shows how many people are where. And then they would have kind of, and then, you know, you'll know certain numbers right away and calculate the percentage if it
Yes,
qualifies.
and so, want to make a couple of things clear. So, we currently do have the, as you know, have the online mapping tool, which is available on drawduarte.org. And we also have copies of what you were suggesting, the paper map, which is also on Draw Duarte. And I was actually just in your city hall and saw that on it's the front desk of the administration where we have that currently printed out. So if there are citizens that want to either use the online mapping tool, we certainly welcome that. And if you want to be able to submit a paper map and submit that as well, you can either download that off of drawduarte.org or come into City Hall, get that, draw out how you'd like it, send it back to us, and we'll process that. So yes, that is something that we could do at a workshop if you'd like, but just want to make sure that the citizens know that that's something that's already available to them right now.
Okay. I'm gonna just request a handful of hard copies. So people, I mean, that way they don't all have to come at City Hall, and I'd be happy to hand it out and then say come to, if we're able to have a workshop, or come to the next public hearing. But making sure that it gets back to the city and that they can make sure that it gets to you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, other questions or comments for Mr. Simonetti? Okay, then I think we probably need to take some input from the public right now. Thank you, Jeff, appreciate it. Okay, let's see, who would like to speak tonight? Which one of these distinguished gentlemen would like to speak first?
Maybe John should go first.
All right. It's either that or you bat cleanup after Lino. Okay, Lino, you're up. Yeah.
Trying to Lino Paras, District 9. I was trying to clarify something with Jeff so that I don't put him on the spot, so I'll skip that. I don't want to educate you because you know your history about this districting, okay? Which is
Feel free to take off your mask and
I should
we
really.
can hear you better. Go ahead.
Yeah. The purpose of districting at the time was basically, we all know, a complaint of certain segment is that Latinos, and I have no objection with all those demographics, are almost a substantial portion of the population of Duarte, but they don't have a Latino in the city council, even though for many, many years, Phil Reyes was in that dice for, I don't know, 12 years,
20 years.
20 years. So that was, in my opinion, BS. By the two individual and a political organization, which was represented by a lawyer in Malibu that is, in my opinion, again, is really more of a blackmailer. Look, in this districting, for the city of Duarte, which is basically 21,000, 22,000, with almost 70 square miles, look at the enthusiasm of the crowd about this subject. Great, right? You should put poster or picture there. Instead of more candidates in this districting, actually what happened is that less candidates were putting their hats. And what happened is, who was deciding? It is the majority of the city council appointing quite a few of the present council members now that there have no opposition or whatever. That's not what democracy is about. That's not what districting is about.
Ms. Parrish, you can maybe move a few inches back so it won't get the feedback.
Oh, okay.
They'll-
Thank you
they'll-
very
they'll-
much.
They'll
Okay.
catch your breath.
Okay. As you know, I'm opposed to the citywide district thing in the past. We should go back, the city should go back to the at-large election, and there will be more candidates, there will be more discussion about the issues in the city. And what is happening right now with this redistricting is that actually people are less empowered to give their input or less interested because it's only their district or represented by any one of you, of which at this point, other than 3 people, I think, are actually voted by the people, okay, in an election. The rest are appointed in their present term. That's not what democracy is about, and and look at what happened. Instead of Latinos, no offense, we got more Asians. Okay? So, in summary, I would like the city to consider dissolving the district, and I don't know whether Government Code 57451A applies to this suggestion. That's for the city attorney to do her homework, and that's my input. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Okay, Mr. Fasana.
Yes, John Fasana, Duarte, California, Mill Canyon Road, former occupant of one of your seats. And I have some sympathy to some of the opinions expressed, but I think there have been some good things that have come out of the districting as well. I think we have representation from a wider geographic area of the city than we had before. This is the first time the city's undergone redistricting in response to the U.S. Census since the current district-based elections were established in 2018. Now, just the past 3 years, the city council's expanded from 5 to 7 members. The city council decided to expand the city council to improve representation throughout the city, while simultaneously allowing some current members of the council to continue service if consistent with the will of the voters. And this was to make sure that the council, as it transitioned the district, also maintained a focus on the entire city and not just on the individual districts, because both are really important, as Mr. Parris just discussed. Now, 4 of the 7 council members, 4 of the 7 of you have come into office since the beginning of 2019. And I think we've been well served by having a blend of new and veteran members, and also I think by the expanded city council, as Joe Matthews of Zocalo Public Square pointed out in the 2017 column. So now is the time to focus on expanding representation. Larger city councils, larger school boards, larger boards of supervisors, and a larger legislature to fit a much larger California. If the idea is to give more people a seat at the table, we're going to need more seats. Unlike most cities that shifted to district-based elections, Duarte expanded the city council. If the idea was to give more people a seat at the table, we certainly gave and provided more seats up on the dais. So I think that speaks to the effort to bring more people in. Now, I would point out that whether it's 5 members or 7 members, you'd probably have to go up to 15 members to represent all ethnicities. If you could even presume that they're all concentrated in one particular district, you would need far larger districts or far more representatives than just having 5 or 7. So in terms of achieving representation based on the demographic numbers that are put out by district or by the city, it's really quite difficult to do so unless you have massive governing bodies. And then also at the same time that you would have discrete areas of the city where each of the ethnic populations live, which we don't have. And I think that speaks well to our city as well. Now, as we look 3 years later, I would like to make these observations. Our council is more diverse. The 7 of you seem to have productive working relationships and are focused on what is best for Duarte rather than your individual wants and needs. That's really important. and it's something that should not be taken for granted. Many city councils have people that are not there entirely for altruistic reasons. To the extent that you can avoid a circular firing squad in an elections environment, I encourage you to select a map that meets the overall voting requirements and representative requirements, and you can then each go before the voters without engaging in divisive contests with each other. Our city faces numerous opportunities and challenges, including homelessness, getting past the pandemic, economic opportunities, beautification, and meeting the imperative to create more housing for people who are challenged to work here and also find a place to live. Just among other things, and even getting access to Fish Canyon Falls would be nice to get that done too, post fires. So working together, I know you can meet these challenges. I wish you well. I hope that whatever maps you do ultimately choose, that they not only meet the representative goals we have, but allow us to have a council that is productive and working on behalf of the entire city. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, John. It's always good to hear from our 8th council member. So, okay. Lino, you're our 9th council member. District 9. Okay, do we have, Sam, you want to say something?
I appreciate what Mr. Fasana had said earlier, and I definitely concur with Mr. Fasana that we want to represent as much as we can for our city, but at the same time, we want to making sure that we have a productive city council. And again, I concur with this observation, and of course, he was up here with us before. We work very well together, and I've seen some other city council meetings when they are just literally throwing mud into each other. So I think we have to be cognizant that, number one, of course, we want to abide by whatever the state law is, and we are here to go ahead and serve the people. And thirdly, in order to go ahead and serve all the people of Duarte, we need to make sure that we're able to work together well.
Okay, wise words, Sam. Okay, any other comments? Okay, I think we can close the public hearing then. Okay, we will close the public hearing, and we'll determine whether we're going to have any kind of special working session. And then, of course, our final public hearing will be on April 8th, but we may be having another one before then. Is that correct, Jeff?
Yes, it was, I believe the final public hearing was scheduled, I believe, for March 15th.
March 15th?
Yes.
I missed that.
Yeah, currently that's the fourth and final one that's scheduled. Now, that doesn't take account of anything that we may do between now and then. And we could even sneak something in, I suppose,
Yes.
after that if we needed to, because the map does not have to be submitted to LA County until April 17th.
Yes, so that's point number one. Point number two that I think is important to remember is, since we have to pass this via ordinance, you can introduce an ordinance at a special meeting, but it has to be finalized. The second reading has to be at a regularly scheduled meeting. So we could take a look and kind of back from April 17th and back. I'm not sure what would happen.
The first regularly scheduled council meeting in April is April 12th. Is that enough time? If it were to come to that, is that enough time?
Just point out, Barbara, should we open the public hearing back? Because there's some important information that I think is relevant.
Yes, I think you can open the public hearing, that's perfectly fine. But you can reopen the public hearing just for the discussion of the date.
Okay,
But
that's
it's
fine.
not done.
Just
Yeah.
consider it open again unless someone has a problem with it. Okay, go ahead, Jeff.
Yes, as long as your map is passed prior to April 17th, then yes, you're okay. But understand that if you push to April 12th, that is the last date that you would be able to pass a map. You can't go past that.
What if we do?
So,
On that statement.
yeah, there's some pretty substantial consequences if you do not. This is very clearly defined again in the Fair Maps Act. So, and I can give you specific details, and I can point out exactly where in that, and I'll send that to the city manager. But basically it says, if you don't pass your map by that deadline, you have 5 days to petition to the court to allow, basically the court to draw your map. If you don't petition within 5 days, any citizen within the city can draw a map for you, and then they can go, again, petition to the court to say, this is the map that I want, and then their attorney's fees that would be associated with drawing that map would be sent back to the city in terms of that process. So there's good reason to make sure to get your map done by April 17th.
It's a drop dead date, we got it.
Yep.
All right. Okay,
And
thank
I'll
you.
send
Any
to
other-
the city manager as well as the city attorney that's specific, but it's very specifically pointed out in the Fair Maps Act how
Okay.
that's done.
All right. Other questions or comments? Yeah, go ahead, Tony.
I just wanted to ask the city attorney about, not that I want to redistrict or drop the districts, because I love District 7, and I love the whole city, but to my knowledge, I don't think you can go back to at large, can you?
So I'm not aware of any cities or agencies that went back to at large. However, it should be noted that we have 2 districts currently that fall under what we consider a Section 2 Voting Rights Act districts, meaning they have Latino majority voting rights. And so that would be an issue of challenge should somebody choose to challenge the city if we went back to at large.
Okay, thank you, Ty. All right, any other questions or comments? Okay, we will close the public hearing again, and thank Jeff for being here. And our city manager will be in touch.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, good deal, thank you. We appreciate it.
Make sure you get District 7 on there, Jeff.
I'll fix that.
Okay, we are now up to, hold on. All right, we are going to now jump back to the special items and have the fabulously interesting Parks and Recreation update. Look how excited he is to come up to the microphone and tell us about everything that's going on.
Good evening. Good evening, Mayor, City Council. Just a couple of quick things for you. The Senior Center invites our seniors 55 plus to join us for our first Sweetheart Dinner Dance scheduled for Friday, February 11th from 5 to 7. The evening will include dinner, dancing, and of course, lots of love. To register, we encourage folks to visit accessduarte.com and register, and click at the bottom, the hyperlink, register for recreation programs.
Is that, wait, I'm sorry, seniors?
Yes, our seniors 55 plus.
Oh, what if my husband is 55 plus?
And you can be his date?
It could be a date, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
So is it all booked up?
It's not. There's still some limited space available. So right now, at our current capacity, I believe there's about 20 spots still available.
What's for dinner?
Good question. I can follow up with our new supervisor over there and get back to you. It is, though, for everyone's safety, it is a catered meal. So I'll just throw that out there.
Okay.
Right?
I have a few years before I turn 55. Can I go?
Now, yeah, our system is set up so that if your date of birth is entered correctly, yeah, you would not be eligible to register for the program. All right, moving on. Because we were unable to host our annual Martin Luther King Jr. Remembrance event that we've typically hosted in collaboration with DUSD, we have now been given the green light by administration that we can reincorporate the event, but also include a celebration of Black History Month. So on February 23rd, well, it's typically, or it's generally going to be geared towards the student body over at Duarte High School. we are inviting the community and council to join the DUSD Board of Education in remembering and honoring the life of Martin Luther King and also celebrating Black History Month, which is currently underway. The assembly will take place at 9:55, and it will be held on the Falcon football field for everyone's safety. We have a great speaker lined up, some great youth performances. So again, we encourage you to come out. We'll open up the gate here on this west end of the Civic Center so folks can park here, walk down, and then for those that need some ADA accessibility, you can also go ahead and park at the PAC Center and the gates will be open for you to walk through. All right. And two other quick notes for you. We will be hosting our first, I'm sure of several, community meetings to discuss and further explore the possibility of introducing a dog park here within our city limits. So that will be held here in the community center on March 19th at 10 a.m. That is a Saturday, so that we can encourage as much community participation as we want to hear from our residents and take in their feedback. And also our consultant will be on hand that particular morning.
March, what?
That's going to be March 19th at 10 a.m.
Can we bring our dogs?
Not for this round.
Okay.
Unless it's a service dog.
Unless it's a service dog, yes. Thank
I
you.
can slap a-
Thank you, Mayor
I can slap a
Finley.
service dog coat on my dog.
Which means I can't go.
All right, and lastly, to wrap up these exciting announcements that I have for you, I encourage you to save the date for our annual Cesar Chavez Day of Service 2022. We thankfully have been in several discussions and meetings with the administration over at Westminster Gardens, and we can actually get back to some normalcy and reincorporate our annual service project that takes place there. And the catch, though, is that we are taking advanced registration, as we are going to have to make sure that each of our volunteers, staff, dignitaries, and those looking to participate present on campus must be fully vaccinated, which means your 2 vaccinations or your 1 Johnson & Johnson vaccine plus your booster shot. So we will, with the assistance of the administration over there at Westminster Gardens, be verifying vaccination status. Again, full vaccination status. So if you
What
haven't...
day is that?
That's going to be on Saturday, March, oh my God, it's going to be on March 20, give me 1 second.
March 26th or 19th?
It's the 26th, there you go. I didn't notate that in my little cheat sheet here. So the 26th, and it's only open to the first 50 volunteers. So we are minimizing, the number of volunteers along with confirming vaccination status. So you can sign up to volunteer, again, the first 50 at accessduarte.com, hyperlink at the bottom of the webpage, register for recreation programs. All right? Questions?
Quick question. What if you have a medical exemption? Can you ask the people at Westminster if that's valid? And if not, I mean, I understand, but I think because of the requirement of it, so I can provide that if they say, sure, and, you know, I can say, I can limit my time there for just the presentation, because I don't usually participate. I'm never dressed enough to shovel, so, but.
That's a great question. I will definitely make sure that we follow up with the administration there, and we can get back to you so you can answer any of your constituents, and we will also make sure to publicize that on our website under the special event page.
Okay, great,
All
thank
right.
you.
Any other questions?
Manuel, Martin Luther King was February 23rd.
That's going to be the 23rd, yes.
At what time, sir?
That's going to start at 9:55.
Thank you.
And just to clarify, Councilmember Lewis, I did send you, as well as Councilmember Kane, additional information about the timeline, so, and the place. So I'm unsure if you've received your emails, so I thought I'd try one more time tonight to see if you'd be available to attend.
Was that on the 23rd?
Yes, it's the same date.
Your email or the date of the event?
No, oh, when I sent the email,
No, what date do you want me to attend?
it's February 23rd.
I'll be
And
there.
what is that?
The MLK Junior,
Oh,
it's the one,
MLK.
yeah, you're gonna be out of town, so I thought, okay,
I got it.
okay, good, thank you. So just check your emails.
I'll be there, Simon.
Okay, that's awesome.
Any other questions?
I think that, oh, we have a new fitness center director.
Oh,
We have soon to start
Right.
recreation supervisor there. He'll actually be starting next Monday. And so at our second meeting this month, my intention is to bring him forward so that you all can meet him and hear a little bit more about where he's coming to us from and his education and background.
Cool. Okay, terrific. Any other questions or comments for, all right, thank you. Very
Sure.
comprehensive. Oh, you know what? It's right back up there.
I think I know where you're going with this.
You do? Tell me where you think I'm going with this.
Does it have to do with the bike rack?
Yes, that actually, yeah, that's one of them. That's one of them.
Oh, one of them.
Okay.
Okay. Then I don't know where you're going with the other one. So would you like me
It has to
to?
do with Fish Canyon Falls, and then ARPA funds being used for a bike trail
For a
improvement.
bike trail improvement.
Okay,
Okay, so let me tackle those three here really quickly. First up, the bike rack memorial that we have for Mr. Gibbons. That's in motion and in play. You know, with COVID, the hike in steel and back orders, we finally received our customized memorial bike rack. And so Gerard and Field Services was so gracious to meet me out there. We kind of went through the whole area and have a plan to re-landscape, irrigation, reconfiguration and so forth. So it's in progress, and I'm thinking within the next 2 to 3 weeks, it should be up in time to commemorate the 1 year of his passing.
oh, that's terrific. Okay,
Okay.
and then we can get hold of his daughter,
For sure.
and if they want any other family members to come out and kind of break a bottle of champagne over the bike seat or something.
Sure. I don't know if I like to waste champagne like that, but okay.
Okay.
They don't hold brakes, because it's bad luck, they don't break.
Drinking and riding?
Yeah.
And the side of the building.
And the safety, risk management, glass, breaking, cleaning up.
Got it,
Yeah,
got it.
okay. Second, I believe your question pertaining to the trail.
Yeah, Fish Canyon Falls Trail, where are we on?
So we are up and running. We actually submitted our first quarterly report to RMC, and we are in the process of finalizing the request for proposals to secure the vendor to go up and conduct the actual studies and analysis. We had a great meeting earlier this afternoon with the city staff over at the city of Azusa. So things are in motion, and you know that those studies are going to take some time. You know, the project timeline, we're hoping that it will finish up by March of 2023. So we still have some time, but things are definitely in motion. But yeah, we're not at that place just yet where we're going to open it up and be able to hike together.
So basically, though, you said March of 2023, that's not for us to be getting up there.
No,
That's for the
That's for
grant
step-
proposal to be ready to be submitted.
that's for this first phase that we've secured the grant funds for, which gets us to that 30% mark of construction plans and so forth. We might, between now and then, secure additional funding to kind of run parallel with our existing funding so that once we have those studies, once we have those renderings and things in place and secure the contractor to, complete all of that work, some of that can happen, overlapping, the current process that we have going on, at least with just doing the biological studies, the assessment and feasibility of, how much it's going to cost to really restore and make that, a safe trail again.
Has anybody been up there to take a look at the trail yet? Have you been up there yet?
I have not been up there yet, and I don't encourage the public to climb over the fence that's there and try to explore the trail themselves. So we want to leave that to the experts, but that's what we're lining up. And when we have that date and process in motion, I will be the first one to share that with you. And the intent is to really make sure that we're taking some in-depth photos and maybe strapping on a GoPro to the vendor so that we can get some real life footage of what's going on there.
I
And
just
what
can't
it looks
imagine
like.
what that looks like after 2016.
16?
So, yeah, I
Mhm.
can't imagine
For
how
sure.
overgrown and messed up that is.
Yeah.
Well, and flooded. I mean, I think,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well,
both
we had
sides.
burn, and then we had the massive floods
Floods.
6 months later.
Yeah.
So I just can't imagine how bad it is. Wow.
Just for the benefit of my colleagues as well as the public, can you just clarify what RMC is?
The Rivers and Mountains Conservancy.
Thank you. It sounds better coming from you.
Okay, all right, then our final, are these ARPA funds, can they be used at all to help upgrade the bike path from the,
The Donald and Bernice Watson Recreation Trail?
that's correct?
Yes. Oh, well,
In your humble opinion.
in my opinion, and I'm not the one that has studied and researched this, but I will defer to our assistant city manager or city manager to answer that, but it is my understanding that I do believe it can be utilized for that.
Yes, it can be, and you will be having a workshop where you will be discussing that. Yeah.
We will, council, and one of the items I was going to bring to your attention tonight and to try and get it on your calendar is April 26th, okay, as a workshop to comprehensively go through where we've gone on some of our goals, and then what the ARPA funds are eligible for, and then you get a sense of your priorities for them.
Do you know what day of the week that is?
That's a Tuesday.
Oh.
And it's
It's a
before,
council meeting.
it's actually, it's a Tuesday before a council meeting, so
So we get to spend
worth reading.
a lot of time together.
Yep.
Okay.
You get a beautifully longer day even than today, yes, you do.
With food.
So I can
There-
get
There's
a
little,
little.
yeah, there's little prizes and food and yummy stuff.
Okay, all right, ARPA workshop then on the 26th, probably maybe 5,
Maybe 5, maybe 4:30.
okay?
Oh, okay.
Or as long as you're cooking, Dan, we're okay.
4:30.
I'm not sure about
I'm gonna say, well, as long as somebody's cooking, yeah.
Okay, we got that down. All right, I think that probably does it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, Manuel. Okay. Now, you guys, it's supposed to be 89 degrees tomorrow.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's why I love LA.
All right, now, I just want to know, were there any barf emojis flying during that time?
Huh?
Okay, sorry.
We did
Oh,
bow.
you haven't seen that? Oh, okay. Well, now, watch this. I think it's Craig's turn right now. Is that right, Craig? To come up here to share his community update. And when we say amazing things about Craig, because of all the fabulous building we're doing here, then you're going to go ahead and see barf emojis fly.
Fair enough.
Where?
Okay. You know what? We'll talk about it after the meeting.
Okay.
Okay.
I thought it was hard to follow Amanda, but
trying to follow barf emoji discussion is really difficult. I mean, I don't even.
Okay, go ahead.
One thing I will say is that there will, in my update, there will be no age restrictions. So it'll be fine for everyone. Just a real quick update on what's going on in the Community Development Department. The sidewalk repair project, our annual sidewalk repair project is underway. You'll start to see that work being done at various locations around the city. Dash Construction is doing that. You approved that about a month back. They're a little bit behind, you know, there's a lot of ripple effects when you have a windstorm, because a lot of the contractors just get emergency work and they get behind on other work. So that'll be going on through the rest of this month, through most of March. They'll probably be done by the end of March or the 1st of April. Several locations in the city where there have been damage to sidewalk, where sidewalks are raised a little bit, they'll be repairing those. And I'll just point out, I was asked this question the other day, but you know, for many years, going back, I've been here for 13 years, it was before I was here, the city's had a really aggressive program of sidewalk repair annually. It's something very good the city council's done. It's one of the reasons we're far beyond most other cities, probably all other cities, in terms of making sure we don't have this few trip and fall issues as we do. So that's a real important project we do each year. And I think this year's about $150,000 worth of work, and that actually does quite a bit of sidewalk. But that project is going on. We have a couple big projects coming up that are out to bid right now that will be back on probably your next meeting. The citywide street rehab project is out to bid and getting bids back in the next week or so, or soon. And also the Highland and Huntington signal upgrade. And I think that's actually going to be scheduled for consent calendar at the next item. That's a left turn arrow north and southbound, and some median changes on Huntington Drive to be able to change the turn lane. So we've been waiting a long time for that. That's kind of that's letting you know that's coming soon. That's kind of a forecast. Some other things that are going on. You know, I've been giving you an update on the Huntington, the mixed-use project across the street for quite a while. It is actually finally got its certificate of occupancy. So it's officially open. They're doing leasing. They already have some tenants that are living there. And you'll start to see the commercial space start to slowly fill up over the next few months. But
do we know, like, potentially who's going to be coming in to these commercial spaces?
Well, one of the commercial spaces is still available. The other commercial space is, I don't know if is another local business that I don't know if they've made that public yet. Oh, I'll say it. Domino's. Domino's is moving from its other location and will be over there on Highland to this location. So it'll be a little bit larger for them. And you know, Domino's is kind of, as a company, has expanded their pickup. I think COVID really helped them with it. They do delivery, but there's been an increase in pickup. I think they needed extra space. And they're still trying to lease the other space, but they've got really good feedback. And I think as that place starts to fill up, they feel it's going to be pretty successful. Yeah. And so far, it's only been open for a week or two, but they've been very successful with the residential portion of it also.
And what kind of units are those? Studio, 1 and 2 bedrooms?
Yeah, studio 1 and 2 bedrooms. Kind of a pretty healthy mix of the two, pretty evenly mixed. And I've asked them to have a ribbon cutting, and I kind of did them a favor, and they said they were going to do it. So hopefully I'll be back with that information in the future.
Hey, Craig, isn't it true that they have like a dog wash place up on top or something like that?
No, they have a dog park. Not to be competing with a future possible dog park here, but they at the very back they have an area that's it's closed off. You know, if you're a tenant, you can take your dog in there and let it kind of run around. It's a very small area, but yeah.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah. They also have a pool and spa for non-dogs, but
Just a quick FYI, when you commented about the pizza place.
Yeah.
They actually will give you a coupon, $3 toward, if you pick up, they're tipping the person picking it up, meaning us, $3 for their next order. So it's to encourage, obviously, pickups, but I mean, they're exchanging something for it. And that's being commercial on commercials for the last few days. So just a note for that.
Okay, so there's a lot of changes that with retail, that COVID has brought this very interesting, most businesses now have pickup locations in their parking spaces, and we've tried to be very open to that, and I'm sure you've noticed at different locations in the city, but that's been a change also. At some point, I'm gonna have to stop calling it the Frontier Hardware property, because it's clearly no longer Frontier Hardware, but that's 2137 Huntington. We call it the Bright Smile Dental. That building is completed, and the Bright Smile tenant space, I don't know exactly what day they plan to open, but it shouldn't be too long into the future. They have been doing their tenant improvement. They're the back space, and there's some available space in that center also. But that was a real nice addition to Huntington Drive also, I think.
It's looking really good, especially at night. Yeah, looks really good.
And that's all I have. If you have any questions, I'm available.
Okay, my colleagues, any questions? I actually have one. Something that made me kind of chuckle today had to do with the, I think I talked about with Dan earlier today, was the town of Woodside up in
Yes.
outside of Palo Alto today. They're the ones that they declared their entire city a mountain lion sanctuary habitat,
Yes.
and they should not be subject to SB 9. They have since rescinded that, but Rob Bonta, our Attorney General, said he was not amused with their designation of the mountain lion sanctuary habitat. So, like I said, I got a big chuckle over that.
I'm curious, how about cougars?
Well, you know what? I've got some pretty darn good pictures of black bears up in my mountain sanctuary, my black bear sanctuary habitat. But I understand we're trying to build more housing, whatever. But we have done a good job, haven't we, Craig? Our city has, in not abusing housing production.
We've done a fantastic job, and the council should get a lot of credit for the changes that have occurred in the last several years. I mean, and I'm sure, I know you all read the consent calendar report that was written on the possible initiative issue, but in that report, I point out some of the development that's happened within the last few years in terms of providing housing and doing the city's part. So yes, the city has done quite a bit. Actually, the SB 9 issue will be on your next council meeting. We do have to adopt an ordinance. We're a little bit behind on that, but we haven't had a lot of inquiries yet. But I have to admit, I wish that we would have come up with the idea of the mountain lion habitat idea. That would
It definitely had legs.
Yes.
Definitely had legs.
For sure. And I probably should point out one more thing since you bring that up is that the Crumble Cookie location, I know that it's really important to the council, in the Target Shopping Center is not open yet, but they are doing work. They pulled their permits and shouldn't be too much longer.
Okay, I actually was really waiting for a cookie the other day, so I called up Robert Piken, and because I went by there and I was walking back and forth in front of it, thinking, you know what, maybe something will materialize in there. So are they actually doing work inside?
Yeah, they're doing work. 'Cause I walked by there too, and they are doing work and making progress. Brian's down there very close. Maybe he could go help possibly get them open sooner.
Yeah, Brian, there is no more important a job than you going in there with a hammer.
Cookies.
All right.
Craig, speaking of cookies or almost expired cookies, what's going on with the hotel?
The Wyndham Hotel, yeah. I can only tell you what we've been told. Just a frame of reference. It's taken a long time, and a lot of times developments do take longer than others. That project got approved, I think, at the same meeting that the City of Hope Hotel, which is now complete, was approved. I believe at about the same time. We did have a meeting about a month and a half ago with their architect, the owner, or the prospective owner, and she's also hired a project manager, and they're working on working drawings. The architect is. They told me that early to middle part of March, they'd be submitting for plan check. I have a little bit more certainty that when that happens. I mean, I think if they've paid an architect to pay to develop plans, so I think they're moving forward. When they submit for plan check and pay that'd be a pretty hefty bill. It'd be nice income for us. I feel more comfortable about having confidence because it's taken a while. But from all signs, things seem to be going in the right direction.
Okay, good.
We also had some enforcement issues out there recently on that property, and I believe they've addressed those. So that was good also, because we had some potholes in the driveway and some graffiti on the fence, on the construction fence, and that was taken care of. So there's been a lot of cooperation, which we really appreciate that.
Okay, Zyla?
So Jack loves Sonic, and I noticed they closed for 3 days.
Yes.
I just wanted to have you share what we receive as permit fees, because they filmed the commercials there. Obviously, they work with, I'm assuming, Mr. Peiken, because they take several parking spaces. So that the council know, Jack's at Sonic like every 3 days, so.
Yeah, they I think because of its proximity, I'd like to say it's because we're so friendly, and we are, but its proximity to the cruise and things, they use this location a lot.
Yes.
It's inside the TMZ, the 30-mile zone.
Yeah.
I talked with some people down there, is that
Yeah, I think so. I think that's the reason.
What's TMZ?
30-mile zone? If you're within 30 mile, look it up. It has to do.
TMZ?
Yeah,
I
TMZ.
thought that's like that show.
Yeah. There you go.
Oh, yeah.
In any case, they get a film permit each time. That,
Do they pay for filming permit?
They pay the city for a film with $1,300 a day.
Good.
My understanding is they also pay the Sonic owner is not, they lose business for the day, but they're not losing business in terms of financially. And I think that Sonic location is doing pretty well too.
Yes.
Just with Jack alone.
Yes, and even during the pandemic, they had the right business model, and that place was always packed, especially during their happy hour, slushy, icy, and they got 2 different happy double hours. So the drive-through line would be always full, and in the evenings, those little stalls, it's like, because people can eat in their car and whatnot, but it really didn't take a downturn during the pandemic.
No, it didn't.
Okay, other questions or comments? Okay, Craig, great job.
Craig? I got a question. The new complex over there that just opened up, do they have any affordable units, or is that all?
There's no restricted affordable units now.
Okay, thank you.
Okay,
There's a website. You check the Richmond Group, the Huntington, and there's a website, and they have prices on there. So okay.
all right, once again, Craig, thank you. Again, I know that it takes a city council that wants to do this, all pulling in the same direction, but it takes really good staff to go ahead and find these projects to build for housing. And that's super important that we have that available for our kids that are going to be buying in our community. So, okay, so after that, now we go to, I think we get to have Joanna G. come up. We're at item 7, announcements of upcoming community events. Joanna, take it away.
Good evening, Joanna G. from Duarte Library. Just a few programs coming up, which is all virtual. We have our Valentine's Day card making tomorrow at 4 p.m. If you want to learn how architects create buildings that keep us safe for kids and teens, that will be on Thursday at 4 p.m. We also have story time for toddlers on Friday at 11 a.m. We also have career path film editing program for adults. If you want to learn how to get into that career on Saturday at 11 a.m. We also have African American Tales on Wednesday, February 16th at 4 p.m. and that will be hosted by storyteller Michael D. McCarthy. And we also have a dynamic conversation with global human rights organization Breakthrough on how Black women and girls are driving culture change. And that'll be on Thursday, February 17th at 4 p.m. Any questions?
No, I think you covered it all. Thank you, Joanna.
You're welcome.
As usual, excellent. Okay, anyone else? Oh, whoa, okay, Victoria's here.
I am here. So for Black History Month, the Duarte Historical Society, they are hosting, in conjunction with the Monrovia Duarte Black Alumni Association, a conversation with Barbara Golar and Brian Ritchie, hosted by a 20-year radio veteran, Chris Luce, on February 20th, from 2:30 to 3:30 p.m. at the museum, which is at 777 in Canto Parkway. Admission is free, space is limited, so for more information about the discussion, contact the Historic Museum at 626-357-9419. Then the San Gabriel Valley Council of Governments is currently partnering with Metro to conduct a feasibility study to evaluate and improve mobility in the San Gabriel Valley. In an effort to welcome the public's input for this study, which can help shape improvements for reliable, convenient, and accessible transit in the San Gabriel Valley, the COG is hosting a virtual community workshop on Wednesday, February 23rd from 12 to 1, and then another one from 5 to 6. You can visit the COG's website at sgvcog.org, or actually the city website. We have an article up as well. There's a link there you can register for your preferred webinar session. And then last, for the city news, we have our Duarte Irwindale homeless count coming up. The day was changed, pushed back because of COVID. It's on February 22nd. We have 25 volunteers registered. They are looking for 50, so we're halfway there. It will be at 8 p.m. and conclude at midnight, although oftentimes it concludes before that, and they'll be meeting at the Duarte Senior Center. We are encouraging everyone to sign up as pairs, so that way no one's paired up with a stranger just because of COVID. And then the county is also taking other COVID precautions, like using an app this year instead of paper maps. You can sign up at the city website, accessduarte.com. Under latest news, there is an article and a link to do so. Any questions?
Any questions to my colleagues? Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Victoria, appreciate that. Okay, now we are at item 8, which is oral communications, and this is for items not on the agenda. Anyone in the public that would like to speak to us may do so at this time. Seeing no one step forward, we will go right to the consent calendar, which is items 9A through K. Anybody want to pull
Move
anything?
consent? Oh, sorry. I just
Okay.
move consent unless somebody has something to say.
Okay.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the consent calendar. Are there any objections or discussion on this? Okay, so ordered. Item 10 is for items removed from consent. Item 11 is public hearings continued, none. Item 12, no business items. Item 13 is a continuation of oral communications. Anyone that did not speak the first time may come and speak the second time. Okay, seeing no one step forward, now we are at item 14, which is items from city council, staff members, whatever. So I'm going to start with Brian Villalobos. Do you have anything? Okay, and I think there's someone that maybe have a question for you. Caesar, you just want to ask Brian a question?
How's it going, Brian? It's good to see you again. I have a quick question. I was looking at the crime reports that come out every so often. Nothing too out of the ordinary as far as like Grand Theft Auto goes. I know it's not a big number or something to be alarmed about. But I did notice that many of these didn't have like surveillance videos. Many residents didn't have surveillance videos. I know in the past, public safety was able to provide some residents with like ring cameras. Is there any programs at the moment that we know of where we can maybe help or point residents towards getting surveillance cameras?
We currently do not have any programs in place. We can reach out to Ring and see if they would, again, be willing to partner with us. So I will get back to you at the next council meeting with what they say.
Thank you so much. And I saw some great tips there. I do encourage the residents to check that out, like putting up motion sensor lights and things like that. So
Well, I thank you. I'm going to recognize Sergeant Fiedler. He writes those tips in. He does all the research every week when he puts that report out and adds his little safety tips. So those are all courtesy of Sergeant Fiedler.
Well, thank you, Sergeant. We just put up some in our home, and thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, thanks, Brian. Okay, Craig, do you have anything else you want to tell us about tonight? Okay, you're good to go. And Manuel? Okay. Kristen? Okay, and our city manager?
Good evening, council. Just very briefly, a couple dates coming up in our future. February 22nd, next meeting, the annual mid-year report with your assistant city manager, Christian Peterson, giving that. April 5th, we will be having the State of the City. Do we call that a celebration or do we call that an event? It's really both.
Trust me, I'm hearing about this. I honestly, remember you were checking with the school district.
Yes.
So this is good to go.
This is good to go.
Okay.
This is good to go on the 5th of April,
Okay.
which is a Tuesday evening.
Okay. And do they know that they're doing it then too?
Even the school district knows that they are doing it too.
Okay, and do we have a time on this yet?
The tentative time right now is 6:30 to 8. Victoria, or Ms. Roche is probably staring daggers at me as I'm giving this information, but that's...
Why would she be staring daggers at you?
Well, it's true, everyone else would be.
Okay, because I already know that I'm unpopular for this.
Is there a location?
Yeah, right out there.
Oh,
I keep-
Julio.
Yep, like I said, I know I'm unpopular.
It will be, yes, it's going to be in the courtyard with some hybrid activities going in and out. So we'll be doing a sophisticated flow analysis for all the people here. How we're going to do it.
I think that is going to be a great advertisement for people being able to use that for other activities. I know I've had a number of people say they really like having that fountain gone. So Craig, good job.
And the only other one was April 26th, which I did mention. That would be a Tuesday for our, we'll call it our ARPA prioritization workshop, but there'll be a couple other items in there as well.
Okay, and as far as our state of the city, can we get some sort of something going like within the next week or two where we can then send that out to people? I would like to be able to invite former mayors, former city managers, former public safety directors, all people like this, because I think our city really has changed substantially in the last decade, and particularly in the last couple, 3 years, which I attribute to some pretty outstanding staff. And so if we can maybe get something done. Yeah, go ahead, Sam, anything? Okay, yeah, and like I said, and have it be something that everybody can come to. So, anyway, thank you. I appreciate that, Dan.
Okay, thank you. That's it for me tonight. Thank you very much, council.
Ty? Okay, Ty's had enough. Okay, and let's go ahead and start with Zyl. Go ahead.
So first of all, I want to thank all of our staff. You've all managed to keep us going, juggling and keeping all the balls in the air enough for us to be very proud of our accomplishments. So thank you to all of you. And then secondly, and it's more of a FYI, I did get a chance to watch our very own Victoria Rocha on Let's Make a Deal. And if you're interested in watching it, it was aired February 1st, which I missed the morning because I thought it was like around Family Feud time. I didn't realize game shows were in the morning. But however, if you download CBS streaming, and it's free, because that's how I kind of encouraged my husband to find the channel and figure it out, and you can find the date. So it's February 1st, and you got to watch the whole thing. It's amazing. I'm not gonna,
Yeah, don't ruin it.
spoil it for you, but it was awesome. And Jack, we've actually watched it a total of 3 times. So, with that, you know, our staff, like I said, are amazing, but also very, very, how do I say this? Diverse in a lot of the things they do, not just what they do at City Hall. And I think it adds extra value to all of us in this community. And so I won't be sending any emojis. Not nice ones, at least. So with that, happy Valentine's Day to all of you. Whether you have a Valentine or not, and if you don't, I'd be happy to be yours. So again, celebrate yourself, or you can be your own Valentine. Get a massage, a facial, I don't know, ice cream. You didn't look up. Anyway.
Not me.
I know, it's him. He's the ice cream guy. And somebody sent Margaret some crumble cookies. Okay, thank you, Mayor.
All right, thank you, Zeidel. Okay, Vin.
I have nothing for you, thank you.
Okay, that works for us. Jody.
I just want to say thank you to everyone as well, and to Public Safety, to Brian and Sergeant Fieldler for their ongoing monitoring of Encanto. I know we had some things come up over the weekend, and so I really appreciate that ongoing support a lot from the 2 of you. And then all the staff is just tremendous, so thank you all for everything you do.
Okay, thank you. Caesar.
Thank you, Mayor. Just earlier today, I was informed that 5 days ago, our very own Mr. Y celebrated 25 years of teaching.
Oh,
So
wow.
I wanted to give you a special shout out because you are a staple in our community and you've taught many generations. And also this Friday, he'll be celebrating his birthday. So happy birthday, Mr. Y.
Get in front of that camera so you can wave while we clap. Everybody keep clapping. Congratulations. Thanks for sharing that.
You know, and I can honestly say, and maybe you're of such an age, but I think he coached at least 2 out of my 3 soccer kids at the high school. So, and those kids are now, they've got kids. So just hang around, Mr. Y, so you can be coaching some more Finley kids. So thank you. Okay, thanks for bringing that up, Caesar. Okay, Sam.
Hey, just really quick, I think I talked about this maybe like 6 years ago, and I was gonna make an app for our city, but obviously I didn't have time to do that. But I was walking down the street, this is not a joke, walking down the street in Monterey Park with the mayor over there, and then of course they have ficus trees too, right? And they have all these sidewalk issues. So what he did was he whipped out his phone and then turned on his Monterey Parks app and then took a picture and then sent it over to whoever, right? Community development or public safety, whatever, and so on, to show that, hey, there's something going on with that sidewalk. Perhaps maybe we can look into something like that. If there was any kind of graffitis or sidewalk issues, or I don't know, maybe there's like a lost cat we can send.
Do we have that ability on our website to be able to do something like that?
That's right. Karen Herrera said that we were supposed to have that, but never ever became, we didn't realize it.
I know if I see something wrong, I send a picture to the staff member, but what if Joe off the street is walking down and he trips over a tree root? Do we have that ability?
No.
Okay, so how hard would that be to put into, where's Chad? Chad knows this stuff.
Can
You see the website.
We can't chat about it. There's third party companies that provide that service, and a lot of times it goes along with code enforcement, and field services things, we can have a chat about that and figure out what the answer is, but
I think that would be kind of a cool thing.
not really website.
Do we, and what about our app? Do we have a Duarte app?
We don't, we were supposed to get a Duarte app, with that website that we.
I'm trying to think who's the most tech savvy over there.
Can we get that on the workshop and see if we can do that?
Yeah.
Or just talk to the city manager from Monterey Park and see where you got that app from.
Sure, yeah.
Did you notice, you guys, Manuel kind of goes down like
Why?
He's not a tech guy.
I think he actually is pretty tech savvy. Okay.
So, real quick point of clarification, we do have a form to report graffiti on the website. It's probably just very difficult to find. And so right now, we are actually doing a weekly series on social media of how do I. So if you watch our social media, you'll see how do you report animal issues, how do you report water issues. I think we did graffiti actually a couple weeks ago, but there is a form embedded into the app that you can also upload a picture to.
How do you run? So I'm just thinking, look, if we can just download an app or something like that, it's much more easier to use. If we can ask, you know, if we have our constituents.
We still have to find a person to monitor everything that comes through.
It would just go to, it will go to like, it would just route, right? It's like an email. It would just go and route to that certain person.
That's a good workshop.
As opposed to getting into a deeper discussion regarding this idea.
Copy,
staff
got it,
recommend-
yes.
Yeah, we will.
Yes, city attorney.
We heard you, and we will come back with information and a report to.
Yeah, I think that's kind of a
out.
cool idea.
Yeah, right. So I'm just curious.
And we know what the little app symbol would be the
Would be like a
Duarte D.
Yeah, that would be so cool.
Okay.
I'll be quiet now, Storm. All right, that's it. That's all I have.
Or storm. Okay, Tony.
I don't have anything tonight. Thank you, and happy Valentine's Day to everyone.
Okay. And I don't really have anything. I just want to let my colleagues know I love them all. 6 best people that I can possibly work with. So happy Valentine's Day to all of you. And our staff, once again, you just hit it out of the park. You make us so proud. That's what makes us look good. You all do. So thank you very much. And so we are going to adjourn this evening in the memory of Duarte Graves and a former employee, and a really wonderful employee in our city, Earl Johnson. So he was retired. So, but we are adjourned, and thank you very much. It's a wrap.
That's all, folks. Good.